Napa know-how.
The Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, everybody, this is the Coast to Coast Radio Show. I'm your host, Ron Fitch, and today we're going to be talking about NBA playoff basketball. And there was a lot of exciting games that took place. I would say it was a good weekend for the NBA. I want to first start with the main game, the Thunder versus the Rockets. This was an interesting game. It started out close. The first half was close. James Harden was terrific. James Harden had his B-plus game. This was the day where he's hitting shots, and he didn't have to. He just kept it in cruise control. He scored 37 points. He was 8 of 11 from the free throw line. He was only 3 of 11 from 3. But he was driving to the basket, and not only was he driving to the basket, there was no help on the OKC Thunder. Once he got caught, they put Robertson on, who was a good defender, but what D'Antoni does, he runs the high screen, which allows a big to be isolated on Harden out at the three-point line, where Harden can operate and go around them, and you assume there's going to be help there. And there was no help. So what Harden did, he would get Cantor on, he would drive around him or Adams and go right on him. He would draw the foul sometimes, and most of the time he would just drive to the basket, nice and casually, and just lay the ball up. And this is the playoffs, and I was highly disappointed in OKC. And I felt sorry for Russell Westbrook. The game was a 5-point game, and Ryan Anderson, they got destroyed on the backboards, first of all. It was ridiculous how bad they got beat on the backboards. There was really 14 offensive rebounds that the Rockets had. And they just destroyed them on the boards. 52-34. It was actually 56-41. And they got destroyed on the backboards, 14 offensive. Ryan Anderson got that tip in. That was demoralizing. It was a 3-point game. They're close. I said, OKC keeps it close, Maybe we could see drama and Westbrook and Harden battling it out like I was hoping, a duel. But once they got down 5 and then they increased the lead, then they allowed Patrick Beverley to get 19 points and get under their skin. They set a hard screen on him to knock him down. They didn't stop him. He's going to keep coming. Yeah, 21 points. You can't allow Patrick Beverley to have 21 points. That's a recipe for getting swept. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think he's going to get 21 points. But he got under the skin of the players. He was able to play Westbrook pretty good. But Westbrook, I'll give Beverley some credit. But I'll also say this. I thought that Westbrook was pressing because he's a one-man gang there, and he struggled. He had 22 points, but he didn't play as well as he could. He had 9 turnovers. He had 11 rebounds and 7 assists. I'm not crazy about his supporting cast. He's got good pieces, decent pieces, but he averaged 31 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists for the whole year. Where did those assists come from? Looking at this team that's offensively challenged, unless he passed the ball to himself, where did the assists come from? That's what I want to know. But anyway, didn't play as good. And I thought the Rockets was terrific. They were sharp. And I could tell, looking at the stats, the plus minuses with your points and rebounds and turnovers and your shooting percentage. And if you look at the starters for OKC, -6, -24, -22, -25, -19. And Victor Oladipo was useless. He's 1 of 12, 0 of 6 from 3. He got burned by Harden a lot. He's not, as a starter, he's not giving much help. And you look at the Rockets, it's plus 27, plus 17, plus 27, plus 18, plus 22. When you got negatives on one team and positives on the other, you get beat 118 to 87 like they did. And they got beat soundly. And I believe that the Thunder will get a game. I think the Rockets, or they're not losing at home. The Thunder, they don't have that second guy to help. Well, unless Westbrook is 60, they're going to get beat at home, which is unfortunate. Now, the next game was an exciting game. That was the Trailblazers and Golden State. It was close much of the game till the fourth quarter, and it was up and down action, back and forth. It was a terrific game. It was 56-56 at the half. McCullough and Lillard, they're going to go right after Golden State. They were excellent. They were everything Portland needed them to be. McCullough had 41, Lillard had 34, and Lillard was hitting shots all over the place, driving to the basket, to mid-range. They're just such a good backcourt, as you know. The best backcourts are Golden State, Washington, and Portland, by far, over everybody else. And their backcourt is terrific. They just don't have rim protectors. So every time they would hit Golden State with a haymaker, with a three, with a great move, three-point play, Golden State could just get to the rim. Durant could get to the rim. Klay Thompson could get layups off of their usual screen and roll or their back-cutting action. They were getting layup after layup after layup. So as good as Portland played, they played the perfect half. It's a tie game. I'm thinking, that's not good because Golden State, at home, they're going to hit you with a 10-0 or 15-0 run somewhere along the line. And that's what happened. And what spearheaded this to occur was Draymond Green's defense. And he blocked a couple of dunks. And Lillard crossed the guard over, it might have been Ian Clark, raises up to dunk the basketball and gets blocked, I believe one time by JaVale McGee and another time by Draymond Green, who was terrific. He was fierce. A lot of people don't like him because some of his antics are out of control at times, but he is the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors. That was the reason they lost the championship, because of those karate kicks, and then he ended up getting fined with all the technicals. And then when LeBron flopped in Game 5, they awarded a technical to Green, and then that allowed the suspension, and that allowed Cleveland to get spearheaded and make their run. And Cleveland was opportunist in that situation. But the suspension was the biggest part of that series. And then, I tell the truth. I don't have to really hide and sugarcoat since it's my show, and that's kind of what happened. But it also allowed them to get Kevin Durant, which was very helpful. He had a solid 32 points and 10 rebounds and a block. Just look at Draymond Green's stats for a second, and this is why Golden State will probably win the championship. He had 19 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, and 5 blocks. Just every category he was good in. And then Curry had 29, and Thompson had 15. And then Ian Clark came on with 12. So Golden State was Golden State. Golden State did what they had to do and win. And I think this is, and I listened to Steve Kerr, and I thought about this. This is a good test. This is good to get punched and challenged in that kind of game to let you know you better come to play against Portland. I just don't think Portland has the front court to stay with Golden State. Now you're asking McCullough and Lillard to come back in Game 2 and do the exact same thing. Kerr will probably double a little harder to dare the other players to play better, and they didn't. And Alan Crabb, 3 points, is inexcusable. Alan Crabb's too good a player for that. And if they don't get any more out of Crabb, they're going to be in trouble because Harkless will give you 11, like he did. And they don't have a front court. They could use a guy like a Swanigan in the draft. because Portland's almost there, and I think win or lose, if they do lose like people expect, and they challenge Golden State, this is good for Terry Stotts and his coaching staff and the team for growth. Because now you can say, listen, we pushed Golden State a little bit. We really took it to them. We didn't win. Now we could build when we add a front court piece. They're missing one of their bigs who's an important piece. Now you add him next year, and then you go get a Kelly Swan again. There's a lot of little late draft steals you could get because you're probably not a free agent destination type of a franchise. So you add, and now you're a championship contender with that backcourt. So Portland's almost there if they could just tweak that roster a little bit and add. They're not quite there yet, and I think Golden State survived. The night game was the Bulls and the Celtics, and this just hurt my heart watching Isaiah Thomas, whose sister was killed in a car accident just a couple of days ago. Then he's got to play, and I dealt with a tragedy a couple of weeks ago, losing a super close friend. So I understand that what you're dealing with and the feelings and emotions, and that lingers. But, I mean, that was his sister. So that just hurts to his heart. He had to play, and he was terrific. I mean, 33 points. That's all you can ask out of him, and he had, 6 rebounds. He had 5 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, come on now. He played as good as you can. They just don't have enough. And what I loved about Chicago is how they destroyed Boston on the boards. And they were as physical as Boston was. And Butler was terrific. I mean, when you got a Jimmy Butler on your team, he was the best player on the court. And always, I said this on my Saturday show on BKS1.com, I always go with the best player on the court in a series, and Jimmy Butler is the best player on the court. But I thought Boston would win because of home court, but now they put so much emotion into this game and they lost. I wonder if that's going to hurt them because the Bulls veterans, D-Wade was solid. But I think what's going to hurt Boston, and if this guy can keep it up, is Bobby Portis, who hit big shot after big shot after big shot. I mean, he was 8 of 10, 3 of 4 from 3, 19 points. And every time Boston came back, he would hit a big 3. And the Bulls, I think their recipe is to win every home game. I think Boston's going to win the home games here out. They should win game 2. If it's a split, the Bulls would have to win in game 5. If it gets to 7, the Celtics will win. If it's game 6 and the Bulls are up 3-2, the Bulls will close them. So look out for that in that type of a series. Now, the Hawks and the Wizards. I picked the Wizards to win in 7. It might be a little sooner. I was blown away by John Wall, who really, he's using his speed, and he's able to shoot. He had 32 points, but he had 14 assists. He was making some sick moves on the court. Him and Bradley Beal. Beal had 22 points. That backcourt, like I just said, is terrific. Now you're getting Markieff Morris giving you 22. Otto Porter, who's much improved, giving you 10. Gortat was physical. And I know Millsap complained that the Washington Wizards were playing an MMA ball. No, they were playing good physical basketball. Gortat was tough in the middle. And I liked how the Wizards play, and they have a look of a team that could get to the conference finals and lose to the Cavaliers. If the Bulls pull it out, I don't think they could stay with the Wizards. I think the Wizards get by the Hawks because I think they're a little too much for Atlanta. I mean, I love what Schroeder did. He was solid with 25, but Dwight Howard's not dominant enough in the middle because he's a little older, and he never was a polished scorer. He gives them some rim protection, which I like, but I don't particularly like I particularly like this squad. This is a bad matchup. I like the Hawks. I love Budenholzer. They have to keep improving their team because I love that coach. And if they get the right pieces, they may be able to challenge. It's just the city of Atlanta has such a history of losing in the playoffs. As of DC, but I'm going with the Wizards. They're going to win that series, I think, in 5. Saturday's action was the Pacers and Cavaliers, and I was surprised. I thought the Cavaliers would come out like a house of fire, and they did. They shot 67%. And this is what puzzled me here. They did what they had to do. This is what you want as a Cavalier fan. Love 17. LeBron, of course, 32. 12 of 20, shot great percentage. Kyrie, 23. Tristan Thompson, 13 rebounds and 6 offensive, doing what he always does. Channing Frye, 4 or 5 from 3-point line, 11 points. And you get 5 from Jefferson, 5 from you don't get anything out of Korver, which surprised me. But that right there, I'm thinking, okay, Cleveland's going to dominate. They should win by 25. But they had no answer for Paul George, who's going to he's going to light up the Cavaliers. I don't think LeBron's a little older, and they don't have any other. You can't put Richard Jefferson on Paul George. You might as well put me on Paul George. So he got his point, and then Thaddeus Young played well, and Lance Stevenson had 16. That's let me know that the Pacers defense is not up to snuff yet. At the end of the game, you got to get the ball back to Paul George, and I think Indiana knows. But it's too late. That was your opportunity to win the game and make it a really tough series. The Cleveland should win tonight with no problem. I'm going with the Cavaliers, and on my show Saturday, talking about this next game, I told everybody the new sheriff in town in the future is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks, and watch out for the Greek Freak and how impressive he was, and he did not disappoint. He was terrific, scoring well, 28 points and 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 emphatic block. Don Maker, who's improving. Kevin Garnett worked with him, and I always knew how talented he was in high school. Now he's developing. What really impressed me was Malcolm Brogdon, 16 points. Chris Middleton, 10 points. Tony Snell, who the Bulls could use right now, he's playing well with 11 points. And you get Greg Monroe, and this is the X factor Monroe is, and how good a signing that was. He had 10 rebounds, 15 rebounds total, 14 points. He had 2 assists. He could pass out of that post. He played tough. I just like how this team is constructed. I really do. I love how they are constructed. I picked the Raptors, but the Raptors are going to have trouble getting to the rim. And the Raptors are not a high shooting percentage team where they could just take you off the dribble. I mean, they're predicated on taking you off the dribble and not shooting good percentage, but pounding you on the glass. You're not going to do that as long as the Bucks are. The Bucks are a long team with the Greek Freak and Snell and Monroe and Thonmaker in the middle, blocking shots and grabbing rebounds. There's no second chance points, and that could spell doom for the Raptors. I'm gonna hold off before I get off the Raptors bandwagon. I want to see how by Saturday when I do my show. I want to see where that is before I make any predictions. As far as the Spurs and Grizzlies, it's going to be a sweep. The Spurs do what they always do. They make a run in the second half, and once they get going at home, it's a point of no return. Aldridge had 20, Kawhi had 32, Tony Parker had 18. And when Tony Parker, who's a little older, outplays Conley, the Grizzlies have no chance. I think they're sweeping the Grizzlies. I'm ready to move on to the Jazz and the Clippers. There's a ton of pressure on the Clippers, and I could see it the way they played in that fourth quarter against the Jazz. Jazz won 97-95. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Clippers could be in trouble. And I love how Gordon Hayward, who's a free agent, had 19 points. He's a budding star. I love how this team is constructed. And they didn't even have Rodney Gobert, who got hurt. He might be out for the series. I don't need them against the Clippers. The Clippers are pressing. And the Jazz fourth quarter defense and their overall ball movement in this game was terrific. Joe Johnson. in the fourth quarter. They let him isolate. He's on the perfect team. He scored a game-winning basket. I love how they didn't call a timeout. He got caught. Jamal Crawford got caught on him. He got right around him, scored a game-winning basket. And that was all she wrote. And I think the Jazz are going to win this series at 6. Now, Major League Baseball. As a Cubs fan, watching the Cubs get swept by the Pirates, the last 2 games really disturbed me to a high degree. The team is playing well, but the middle relief is horrible. Pedro Stroop and Rondon, they didn't do anything in the postseason. I've seen enough of them. I wouldn't play them anymore. You have to cut bait. I know it's early, but I've seen enough of these guys to know that they pitch scared, and they're pretty much useless on this roster. And I think Theo's going to have to, if they even have a chance that they want to even get in the playoffs, then you've got the team to beat, but you better show up the middle relief, as is the Mets. And that's why they got beat up by the Marlins, who own them in Miami. They pretty much own the Mets, period. And you have a log jam. It's early, so I expect the Mets and the Cubs to make moves for middle relief. And whoever makes the best move on middle relief, that'll be the team that does well. The Rockies are surprising people at 9-5. The Giants are 5-9, but it's early. And in the American League West is early, but I'm going to ride the Houston Astros.